Is there a Brexiteer media revolution in the air? Lots going on. You saw me report yesterday about GB News and Andrew Neil becoming the chairman of GB News, but it looks like now the government may be pushing for two Brexiteers to take prominent roles in the media. Very, very interesting story, guys. I'm going to bring you all the very latest, of course, but if you could start off, please, by subscribing to the West Monster channel and click the bell so you don't miss future reports. That really helps me out. Yes, this is from a Sunday Times report. Boris Johnson said to be ushering in a revolution at the top of British broadcasting by offering two of the top jobs in television to outspoken critics of the BBC. Now, last week you will have seen the report I did here on YouTube about Charles Moore becoming potentially the new chairman of the BBC. This is a guy, and you can type it on right here on YouTube if you search Charles Moore Question Time, who has repeatedly, when on the panel, questioned why he was the token Brexiteer, those ridiculous loaded panels that we've seen for years in the BBC. So Charles Moore had already been rumoured, but there's a follow-up now because Paul Dacre, the former Brexit supporting former editor of the Daily Mail, is the PM's choice, we're told, to become chairman of Ofcom, the broadcasting regulator, and replacing the Lord Burns, who's due to leave before the end of the year. Now, Lord Moore, as I said, Charles Moore, who we've discussed previously, former editor of the Daily Telegraph and biographer of Margaret Thatcher, no less, has condemned the criminalisation of those who refuse to pay the licence fee, has been asked by the PM to take up the post of BBC chairman. The Sunday Times report that the potential appointments of two right-wing Brexiteers will send shockwaves through the broadcasting establishment, and there seems to be real meat on the bone on this story. The Sunday Times reporting that Dacre was wooed by Boris Johnson over drinks in Downing Street in February before the COVID pandemic struck, and is now in talks with Number 10 about the Ofcom role. It said that Dacre will crack down on alleged BBC bias and encourage the corporation to downsize to focus on core public service responsibilities. However, he is on record as wanting to preserve the corporation, and Whitehall sources say he passionately believes it needs saving from itself. You know, my view on this is, let the BBC do what they want. I just don't think people should be forced to pay for it. Let me know what you think in the comments. Whitehall sources said Dacre was prepared to take on the role, provided he is given assurances about his freedom to act. Number 10 sources confirmed he is the PM's preferred candidate. So this does seem semi-serious. But what I would say about all of these rumours and reports is that you do have to wait and see if it actually happens. It's all well and good about it being talked about. Will this actually happen, or is it just a briefing out? Now, the double appointment is said to be an audacious move to install figures more sympathetic to the government in positions that have traditionally been perceived as natural home for more liberal-minded executives. And then, you know, when you see the controversy with the BBC and the proms and the patriotic lyrics being stripped away and then reinstated, it's instances like that where you think, what sort of plonkers are running the show there? And it's because you've not seen conservatively minded pro-Brexit figures appointed anywhere near these sorts of positions. And of course, there's been significant lefty kickback, and I'm going to get to that in a minute. But one source close to Boris Johnson quoted as saying this is part of a process of the Prime Minister putting allies in key positions. The PM said to have asked Charles Moore to take on the BBC chairmanship around a month ago, and in recent days senior figures say it is virtually a done deal. Moore, handed a peerage by Johnson in August, is still in negotiations over the exact details of his contract. So, you know, the day after that we heard about GB News and Andrew Neil becoming the chairman, we're now hearing about a former editor of the Daily Mail in Paul Dacre potentially taking charge of Ofcom, Lord Moore, Charles Moore, taking over the chairman of the BBC. Of course, it all sounds quite revolutionary, really, in terms of a Brexiteer influence in this media sphere. But I just caveat it again. Is this bluster? Is this briefing? Will it actually happen? Now, of course, there's been significant... we saw how bad some of these people reacted when they lost a national referendum. You're now seeing a similar thing again, with figures lashing out, very, very unhappy with these reports. Just look at Hugh Grant, I think, and perhaps the most melodramatic there. Coffin, nail, UK. How quaint, eh? Former editor-in-chief of The Guardian, Rusbridger, Paul Dacre to run Ofcom, Charles Moore to run the BBC, because Boris wants them. No process, no joke. This is what an oligarchy looks like. Alistair Campbell, of course, always loves having a meltdown on Twitter. He says the problem is that the UK does not have a PM in number 10. Well, I think that's news to Conservative voters, but okay. But a journalist who trolls the nation. The country is run by a right-wing clique, Alistair Campbell says, in which appointments like this are made not according to ability or values, but getting like-minded right-wingers to do dirty work. Dacre is someone who represents the worst of British values, posing as the best. It is a dreadful appointment of a dreadful man by a dreadful Prime Minister. Yeah, I'm sure the government will really be bothered by what Alistair Campbell has to say today. Conservative MP Ben Bradley saying more to the BBC, Dacre to Ofcom, seems like a quiet revolution to me, a very welcome one. And actually Nigel Farage hitting back directly at Alistair Campbell, saying the hypocrisy of Alistair Campbell and the chattering classes is astonishing. In the Blair years they filled every quango with their mates and contracts were given to crony capitalists, Farage says. Now Johnson seeks some media balance and he cries, foul. And an interesting point as well, I think, here by Rafe Hendel Manku. He said, unlike Labour, especially Blair, Conservatives have been useless at appointing their own to top quango jobs, hence left's long dominance in culture wars. If the government wishes to reverse the long march through the institutions, these need to be the first of many similar appointments. And I think, as I say, this is the key to why you see the complete disconnect in institutions and corporations, why you see some of the BBC's utterly bizarre behaviour, because it's dominated by liberal left-wing thinking, and that's why you see time and time again Conservatives and Brexiteers, who are the majority in the country. I mean, it shows you time and time again elections and referendums. We want Brexit. We're not the minority, the majority in this country, and yet time and time again the institutions and corporations seem so out of step with the public mood. As I said, this is positive, but I would just underline it with one thing. It seems too often when things like this happen, when rumours like this get put out, and this would be a radical move, absolutely, in a good way, but when there's a bit of criticism and backlash from these whingers who haven't stopped whinging since 2016, what Conservatives and the government seem to do sometimes when there's strops in the TV studios is they seem to back down. They seem to shy away from making these sorts of radical appointments. And I just hope that they don't do that. I hope they hold their nerve. And actually, this is the start of a Brexiteer media revolution, which moves cultural institutions closer to the public mood, which is pro-Brexit and obviously voted for a Conservative majority with Boris Johnson as Prime Minister. The likes of some of these people, they're going to whinge no matter what the government does anyway. They've had it all their way for so long now, with lefties getting appointed left, right and centre in terms of these appointments. So the government needs to ignore this criticism. It needs to push on and put in Paul Dacre and Lord Moore in these positions. I think would be great choices and the beginning of the sort of change we need to see in this country. Let me know what you think, guys. Do you support these appointments? Do you want to see them happen? Do you think the government will bottle it? Do you think they'll happen? Let me know as ever in the comments what you think. And if you found this report helpful and informative, of course, please click thumbs up, click subscribe and the bell. And of course, you can support my work on Patreon. I appreciate it if you want to support me on Patreon and become a patron. And as ever, guys, thanks very much for watching.